It's time for Success in Real Estate with Frankie Griffin, owner and broker in charge of the Palmetto Success Team, certified residential specialist, accredited buyer representative, military relocation professional, real estate appraiser, and author of Success in Real Estate. If you are interested in buying or selling a home, investing in real estate, or having your home appraised, you will enjoy Success in Real Estate. Now, here's Frankie Griffin.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin. Thank you for joining us this morning. I got so many things I want to talk about today, so we're going to jump right into it. We will have our mortgage update with the Erica West at quarter past the hour. We'll also have our horror story, which is going to be really, really interesting with our attorney, Andy Aun, at the bottom of the hour. And we just got a lot of things I'd love to talk about. But as always, you, our listeners, are first. You come first. We want to make sure we have or we answer any questions that may be on your mind. If you're thinking about buying a house or selling a house or investing maybe in real estate, maybe you need to get an appraisal done on your property. And we're going to be talking about some appraisals and market value and the reasons to even consider having an appraisal done. Those are some of the things I want to talk about today. But if you have a question, you give us a call. The number here in studio is 799-8255 or 799-TALK. 799-8255. Love to talk to you, answer any questions, or just maybe you just have a comment about the show or what you'd like to hear on the show. Give us a call. But let me start out. One of the things I would really like to do at least once a month is look at some of the current market statistics that are affecting real estate right now, at least in the Midlands of South Carolina. And some of these statistics that I'm about to give out come straight out of the Consolidated Multiple Listing Service. And there's some interesting things here. For example, last year, we here in the Midlands of South Carolina, Columbia area, sold almost 9,300 houses last year. Now, that's from January through December. But in the month of January, again, last year, we actually sold 542 houses with an average sales price of $159,000. And then we have an average time on the market of about 117 days. And the reason I bring this up, because, again, that's January of last year, and then compare that to January of this year so far, we've had exactly 500 houses sold, so that's about 42 less than last year. But then the average sales price has dropped. This year, for the month of January, the average sales price was $148,000, right at $500. So you're looking at about a $10,000 decrease in sales price from last year to this year on average. Now, again, that's not to really say a whole lot. I'm certainly not trying to wave any alarm bells here. But then also, we had an average time on the market this year of 111 days. So that's a decrease of about a week. So a couple things going on. One, houses are selling a little bit faster, but they've also been selling for a little bit less. So I find that interesting, and there's some things that I'm starting to see in the very first parts of February that if it holds up, some of these very, very, I guess it's just too early really to look at it, but some of these early numbers I'm looking at, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out at the end of the month. So you certainly want to hold on for the February report because it's going to be very good. And then some of the other things that I will just mention are how real estate is doing in various areas around town. I went ahead and pulled the fourth quarter of last year because that's the way they report it, a quarter at a time. And a few things here. The area of town that seems to sell the most properties quarter after quarter after quarter is always the northeast side of town. So northeast Columbia last quarter sold 454 houses with an average sales price of almost $217,000, which is pretty good. And then considering the percentage of list price that it actually sold for was above the asking price. So that we have not seen for a little while. It's usually right around 96% of the list price is what you tend to see the sales price being, but not in northeast Columbia for the last quarter last year. It was actually a little more on average than what the seller was actually looking for. The next hot spot, I guess, that has sold the most properties is in the Lexington area, in Lexington and surrounding areas, where we sold just under 400 houses with an average sales price of about $195,000. So I thought that was interesting with the sales price being about 99% of the list price. So this is good. And you'll see where I'm going with this here in a second, I promise. But then in Irmo, St. Andrews, it comes in number 3. Selling about 273 houses with an average sales price of about $147,000 with a 96% sales price of the list price. So what we're looking at right here, and the point I wanted to make, is real estate is just doing very well right now. Based on these statistics. Not only are we selling quite a few homes in the Midlands area, but we're seeing that the sales price is really pretty good compared to what the seller listed the house at. You're looking probably on average here for the fourth quarter of last year around 98, maybe even close to 99% of the list price. I think if you talk to anybody selling their house, most people would be just ecstatic to get that close to what they were asking for. Well, we've got a lot of things I really want to get into. One is getting your home priced right, because that's going to have a lot to do with whether or not you can get your house sold for close to what you're wanting anyway. We are about out of time in this segment, but I will just tell you, we'd love to hear from you. Please give us a call. The number here in studio is 799-8255. Again, 799-8255. We'd love to talk to you, answer any questions you have. Certainly, if you're thinking about putting your home on the market, we want to address any concerns or any ideas or thoughts you have. We will be right back. You're listening to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin on The Point.
And now, the Mortgage Update with Erica Hill West on Success in Real Estate.
All right, good morning again. Welcome back to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin. Thank you for joining us this morning. It is time for our mortgage update with our mortgage go-to gal, Miss Erica Hill West. How you doing, Miss Erica?
I'm doing well. And yourself, Frankie?
Oh, this is always a fine day.
It is.
There's so much going on out there right now. Miss Erica, and I've got a couple. I actually had a few emails from listeners last week, and a couple of them had some what I thought very good questions about finance. So
Sure.
I wanted to throw a couple questions back and see if you can answer these questions.
Let's give it a try.
That's okay. Well, one, the question was, what effect does the stock market have on interest rates, if any? And I guess that's because, we've been seeing the stock market go down quite a bit here the last few days.
Well, typically, you want to look at, if you want to know what is driving interest rates, you should look at the 10-year Treasury bond. That will indicate kind of what is going on with interest rates. the only way that I can explain it is the more people that are invested in the 10-year Treasury bond, the less interest is going out, so it keeps the rates down. When people pull out from investing in that, then the rates go up, which is what we saw last spring. Pretty much when Bernanke announced that they were going to stop putting mortgage-backed securities, stop investing in them, investors got scared that their investment was not secure, and they pulled out. Okay, so what happened then was when the yield became more, the rates go up because there's a lot less investors in the 10-year Treasury bond.
Okay.
As some of that stuff has started to flesh itself out based on labor report, job report, seeing that the economy isn't recovering as some of the Feds would have led us to believe, people are starting to return to invest in that, which is what's causing the rate to decrease.
Okay. Well,
I know it's very convoluted. It's very difficult to understand. But if you can keep an eye on that, you'll have some indication of what rates are going to do even from day to day.
Okay. So what are rates doing right now?
They actually are dipping a little bit. When I say a little bit, I mean we're talking about sometimes an eighth of a point. But that is a decrease. That is something to get excited about, especially over the course of even 15 to 30 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, we're looking low to mid fours. I mean, they keep getting lower and lower and lower on 30 years. That's good.
We're going to be back in the threes before summer starts.
I would love to say that I could promise you that, but I do have an inclination that I think if we bottom back out into the threes, we're going to hold pretty much either at 3.875 or 3.75.
Awesome. Well, it kind of goes hand in hand because, the real estate market is really good right now. If you're buying or selling, but especially sellers. I don't know if you got a chance to hear some of the statistics I was throwing out in the first segment, but y'all, the last quarter of last year, about 97, 98, even 99% of the list price is what we're seeing these houses sell for right now.
Yeah, it's actually, I think that right now, if you're going to sell, and I tell people this all the time, because I think some people get nervous about selling in the winter or, they should sell in the spring. Get your house on the market.
Yeah.
Call Frankie, let him do a cost analysis of what's going on in your market.
Oh, bless you.
And be able to give you a realistic approach as to what you can get for your house and how to market selling your house. There's no better time than now because as it's starting to, you're going to laugh, I got tons of calls on Sunday because as you know, Sunday it was sunny, it was beautiful, people were out.
Yeah.
As people are starting to get, file tax returns and get their money, they're going to be looking. So if anybody is out there kind of, on the fence if they should list their house or not, I would do it now. Now is a good time because people are starting to get that itch. They're looking, and they're preparing for closings in the next 30 to 60 days.
Well, I couldn't agree more, but let me get this second question to you. And I think this is a good question, at least for most people. But the question is, what is the APR, and how does that affect my loan?
Okay, so your APR is your annual percentage rate. You have a couple forms that are given when you're locked into an interest rate called the GFE and the TIL. The Truth in Lending, that's the TIL. They're going to show you what your APR is. And for the purposes of that form, your APR is all the costs associated with doing your loan, your interest rate, and your loan balance are all affected into the APR. It's not necessarily accurate as into how much you're going to pay over 30 years, but it does give you an indication of the cost of doing your mortgage. Because your closing costs are included in that figure, you can you can tell what lender is more affordable based on fees, especially if you have three lenders that are all at the same interest rate, and two of them are extremely higher in APR than the other, then you know that the one that's the lower APR is the more affordable because it's including your closing costs.
And I am so glad, I'm so glad you said that, Erica, because you know as well as I do what most consumers go in asking for, what is the interest rate?
Right.
And then they choose their loan package or lender based on interest rate.
Yes, and I would tell people, if you are going to ask somebody questions, when you get a quote for an interest rate, internet rates are horrible because a lot of times it doesn't indicate what you're being charged for points and or origination.
Sure.
And so you may pick a lender saying, "Oh, well, they're the lowest interest rate," and then you get, your GFE, and you see that you're being charged $3,000 to get that interest rate. If you're not going to stay in the house for 3 to 5 years, there may be no way for you to recoup that $3,000 that you paid for that interest rate. So it's not a good use of your money.
I totally agree. That's why you are the mortgage go-to gal. And I also got, just as a follow-up to that question, and you may have already answered it, but is the APR negotiable at all?
Well, sure. I mean, it's in the sense that it's based off of what fees are also included. Mm-hmm. Now, sometimes APR, in those fees, you're calculating stuff that is not necessarily set in stone, especially when it's first disclosed. Lenders they're basing stuff off of estimates. That's why you get a good faith estimate. Yep. If you don't know what your homeowner's insurance is, or who you've chosen for your title work and your attorney, lenders are estimating those things. But if you get it and you get a good faith estimate and you see that there's origination, or you see that there's application fees, processing fees, underwriting fees, yes, those are negotiable. Those are negotiable things that you can bring up with your lender to see if there's something else they can work out for you.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, when I am shopping around for a loan, I need to shop the APR.
Yes.
The lender that's got the lower APR is the most, or the cheaper or most affordable loan.
Yes.
Irregardless of what the interest rate is.
Right.
And
well, the interest rate is only if the interest rates are similar. Okay, so I tell people when I'm getting shopped, I guess that's the best way to put it, they'll say, XYZ lender told me that they can give me a 4% rate. Mm-hmm. Great. What is your APR?
Yeah.
Because I can usually tell if it's, now on a government loan, especially USDA, FHA, and VA, they have the funding fee, the upfront mortgage insurance, and the guarantee fee. Those are included in your APR, and they are going to push that APR quite a bit higher. That's going to be a big percentage of the jump because, on FHA, it's 1.75. On a VA, it could be anywhere from 2.15 to 3.3% of the loan amount. So that is factored in there. And you are paying interest on those funding fees, guarantee fees, upfront mortgage insurance for the life of the loan.
Well, that's why you're the best. Erica, we got about 30 seconds or so left, but sure. How can we get in touch with you?
You can reach me on my cell phone. It's 803-528-5019. You can email me at ewest@mortgagenetwork.com, or you can search for me on Facebook, search for the Mortgage Go-To Gal. Please go and like my page, and you can send me any questions, find out all sorts of information on what's going on in the real estate market and the lending market.
Awesome. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks, Frankie. Have a good weekend, too.
Thank you. Have a great one. All right. And if you missed that, you can go to our website, frankiegriffin.com, and you can catch her information. Got to take our break. You're listening to Success in Real Estate on The Point.
Now, the real estate horror story with Andy Aun on Success in Real Estate.
All right, welcome back to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin, and we are now ready for our horror story, and no better person in the world to get horrified from than our attorney, Andy Aun. How we doing, Mr. Andy?
After that wonderful introduction, why wouldn't everybody just tune right in, right?
That's right. Well, if anybody has any questions for Andy, give us a call. The number in studio is 799-8255. 799-8255. But
Frankie, how you doing, buddy? I know it's a fine day over there.
Oh, you know it is now that Andy is on the phone.
All right, man. I hope y'all are doing well. A couple of things quickly before we get into the horror story for this week.
Okay.
First, we have got a lunch and learn that we have scheduled next week. It is going to be on next Thursday, February 13th. It's at a listing of P.J. Tompkins. You know P.J.,
sure.
Frankie, and it's going to be a 102 Blackwater Lane in Irmo. Call our office at 744-0824 just to RSVP. This is part of what I'm going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about HVAC issues and a horror story relating to HVAC issues today. And then we've entitled this Lunch and Learn, Is Your Advice on HVAC Issues Hot or Cold? And we're pleased to have Brent Newberg with Panther Air, who is going to be there talking to us about, the scope of an HVAC inspection and some of the things you can expect, and then we're going to talk about some of the disclosures, and I'm going to talk to you about an issue we had here in our office relating to that an HVAC issue in the past. The other thing I want to tell you about, I have been honored to be part of the Sales and Marketing Council of the Home Builder Association, which is kind of the non-builder affiliate with the HBA. And I wanted to tell you about a series we've got that we're going to be starting, Frankie. I went to my first meeting yesterday. What a group of pros. These folks are just unbelievable, and talk about being plugged into the real estate industry and plugged into the housing market. They really do a super job, not only for the industry but for the community as well. One of the things they're going to be doing is a series that we've called Know and Grow. And they're going to be doing this basically in different school districts and inviting real estate professionals to come to these Know and Grow series to essentially get knowledge about what's going on in the community, what's going on in schools, businesses, business development, any number of issues relating to that community, and grow their business as a result of getting that knowledge. I mean, there's no way, as you know, Frankie, no better way to sell a community than knowing the community, right?
You're exactly
So the
right.
Know and Grow concept is a wonderful series. This is part of HBA and the Sales and Marketing Council's commitment to the real estate professional out there, and so we're excited about that. Now, let me talk about HVAC issues, because this is an issue that at this time of year is always a big problem, okay? Because what we run into frozen pipes and things like this, not properly maintaining the system or properly servicing the system can cause these problems. We had an issue in a home inspection case that I had where the ductwork had actually caused a mold issue. Okay?
Yeah.
You'd be amazed at some of the problems relating to ductwork and condensation and not having that ductwork properly cleaned and properly serviced and having a qualified HVAC inspection done on a home when you're buying a home. And the problem is that a lot of times the folks that have HVAC letters done believe those HVAC letters are in fact warranties, and they're not. They're a snapshot, like almost any other inspection would be, of what the HVAC system is doing. And most times, typically, they're going to be looking at how they're operating, whether or not the system is operating properly, and depending on the HVAC company, they may or may not.
Isn't the home inspector required to furnish whoever's ordering the inspection with a written document that lays out exactly what they're doing and what they're not doing?
Absolutely. The problem is a lot of these home inspection companies, and one of the things we ran into with this issue was that in the website for this particular home inspection company, they indicated that they had strictly adhered to ANSI standards, which is the American Society of Home Inspectors, okay? And as a result of that,
you mean
they indicated that they were going to inspect the HVAC, when in fact they did not. And so, they had this confusion in the marketplace about what they were doing, what they weren't doing, and the clients relied on it. So, you're right. You're absolutely right. The law requires them to provide an outline of what they are going to inspect and what they are not going to inspect prior to the completion of that home inspection. And as real estate professionals and as buyers and sellers, you need to make sure that the home inspector is doing that. You want to make sure you don't run into those issues of disclosure after the fact. Okay.
Andy, we got about a minute left, but if anybody's got any questions or needs some help, legal advice or something, how can we get in touch with you?
Our number is 803-744-0824. If I'm unavailable, speak with Ashley or Taylor in my office. and we can get on the calendar as either for a conference call or I can meet with you. We're really excited about things going on right now, Frankie. I heard you talking earlier about the real estate market. Man, I tell you, it represents about 30% of my practice. 70% of my practice, as you know, is trial work, is litigation, but about 30% of my practice is real estate related. And I will tell you that the real estate has really picked up. I think people
Andy,
are
we're
realizing
running out of time, so we got to go. But I can't thank you enough. Hope you have a great weekend,
brother.
my friend.
Thank you.
All righty. All right, well, you're listening to Success in Real Estate, and if you have any questions, give me a call. The number in studio is 799 8255 799 8255. You're listening to Success in Real Estate on the Point.
Here's Frankie Griffin with your weekly featured property on Success in Real Estate.
All right, good morning again. Welcome back to Success in Real Estate. I am Frankie Griffin, and I want to use up the time in this segment to go over a few things dealing with preparing to get your home for sale and making sure that we get the right price for your home. I really want to be able to spend a few minutes talking about that, but I would like to remind everybody, if you have a question, give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. Again, the number in studio is 799-TALK or 799-8255. If you have any questions, we got about 8 to 10 minutes or something like that. Love to hear from you. But here's something I think is just very important to keep in mind when you are considering, anyway, potentially selling your home. You want to, or at least the goal and objective for most homeowners, and I realize this isn't for everybody, but most, they want to get the top price, top dollar for their home in as short amount of time as possible. And sometimes it's hard to get both of those to work together. Well, let me just tell you, here's one way that you got, if you're going to have any chance of hitting both of those objectives, it has to be priced right. And I know this is not what a lot of homeowners want to hear, but I got to be honest. How much you owe on your home right now has absolutely nothing to do with how much you can sell it for. Hate to have to say that, but that's the truth. It only matters what the current market value is for your property today. So how much you owe is not going to have any bearing on how much a buyer would be willing to pay for it. It really does not matter how much you want. It's or how much you think it's worth. It only really matters what the market decides it's worth today in the condition it's in. And one of the things I would just highly recommend, I think it would be a huge investment, and I want to talk about some of the reasons why. But I think you need to have your house appraised. Get it appraised by a professional, and then you know exactly what your home is worth, what the true market value is up to that moment, and I think you're going to find that's going to come back and pay huge dividends. So say, for example, you paid $300 to have your house appraised. Number one, now you know how much you can list your house for or what you can reasonably expect to get for your house. Because the other thing, in fact, I didn't say this a little bit earlier, but say you do find a buyer willing to pay, for example, $200,000 for your house, which is what you'd like to sell it for. But the buyer does need financing. They don't have the money to pay cash, so they're going to have to apply for a loan. Well, the bank's going to require an appraisal, and if that the appraisal comes back at say 185, and the contract's for 200, you know what, seller? You're not going to sell that house unless you drop your sales price down to what the appraised value is, because there's going to be a finance contingency almost always in the contract, and typically there's going to be an appraisal contingency in the contract. So we want to make sure you know exactly what the house is worth. And the other thing is, you don't want to take a chance of putting your house on the market too low. That's the other bad part. And you know, without the appraisal, what you're going to wind up having to do in essence, in many cases, you're going to have to guess. Now, you may be using the assistance of a real estate agent, and they can certainly, at least if you have a good agent, they can help you come pretty close, at least put you in the ballpark of where you need to be in terms of market value. But, again, you pay $300 for an appraisal. If you had to guess on what that market value was going to be or what your property's worth, I would be willing to bet you're going to be off more than the $300. The only question is, did you guess too high or did you guess too low? So I think you'll find it be a good investment to make sure you've got it dead on. The other reason you would want to have this appraisal on file is because when you've got buyers, and sometimes they're buyer agents, that will try to convince you that your house is not worth what you're asking for it, and could even have all kinds of documentation and statistics to try to show you it's not worth what you're asking for it. Well, see, now if you've got the appraisal, that kind of trumps what the real estate agent says, unless the real estate agent happens to also be an appraiser. So now you've got something to argue. You've got room you've got something to solidify your negotiation stance, I guess what I'm trying to say. So it'll help you tremendously to have it for that reason. Some other reasons is this appraisal, again, when it's done properly, and I think most of them probably will be, but when it's done properly, the appraiser can let you know as a homeowner what areas or what parts of your house, if any, are dragging down or bringing down the value of your house. We can talk to you. We can do some consulting if that's what you'd like to do. But we can let you know that, if you put a little bit of money in updating or upgrading this or that or whatnot, then that's going to increase your value by X percent. And so we can sort of give you an idea of what that return on the investment would be. We may actually be able to tell you, you're better off just don't worry about it. Don't try to update that. You're not going to get the return on the investment. Just leave it the way it is. But the consulting, I think, can just be a huge advantage for you. Again, we're trying to get the most you can get out of your home. Now, the other thing I just sort of want to touch on real quick, because there's two things I think you've got to have if you're going to be able to get your house sold quickly. One, get a price right. The other one has got to show well online, because that's where buyers are. They're online, and the only way it's going to show well online is to have professional looking photos. It's got to be professional. I would highly recommend, in fact, let me give you a website to go to. The guy that I use all the time, anytime I list a property for sale, I use Jerry Bilton. He owns Eagle Photography, and he does such an incredible job. And I can assure you, you compare his photo compared to your real estate agent's photo, you will know immediately why you have paid him a little bit extra to come out there. Now, when we list your house, it's part of our service. I mean, Jerry comes out there, and he's going to spend a couple of hours at least trying to get the best photos. But let me give you his website. We're about out of time, but I encourage you to go to his website, check it out. It's www.imagesbyeagle.com. Again, imagesbyeagle.com. Check out his work. I think you'll be very pleased with what he's doing. But anyway, we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope you have a great weekend. And you've been listening to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin on The Point.